Yo, what's good everybody? You got Sketch here and welcome back to the channel. And on today's show we're taking a look at the 5th entry in the Dodonpachi series, Dodonpachi Resurrection. Developed by Cave, released in 2 arcades in 2008 and receiving a home port to the Xbox 360 in 2010. The Xbox 360 would later get its Black Label revision in the following year of 2011, adding in an arrange mode and a few additional characters. The version we're looking at today is the recent Nintendo Switch version, which contains both, along with numerous revisions and arrangement modes which released last month, published by Livewire. This is a vertical shoot 'em up series known for its bullet hell intensity on screen, and the 5th entry is high octane off the muscle. But before we get too much further, let's catch up on the story so far. Sometime after the battles of the blissful Death Wars, peace has returned. 6 years after the conflict, portals begin to open up capable of teleportation and time travel. When the Dodonpachi HQ computer systems are compromised, they catch wind that massive amounts of materials and data were being somehow sent into the past. The program running it is framework of the Element Dolls, which is now launching an assault to destroy the human race by taking its attack into the past to rewrite history. Colonel Longhinner authorizes the last ship to deploy into the time rift and fight the invasion before they wreak interdimensional havoc. You leap through and begin your mission against the evolution of the Element Dolls in hopes of saving humanity one last time. Gameplay wise, you've got a relentless vertical shooter that's going Mach 10 from the jump. You can choose from 3 crafts with their own unique fire pattern and crush bomb. You also get the option of how to implement your crush bombs with bomb style, which is the more traditional approach of stackable bombs, power, which stacks a power shot, and hyper pulsar beam that does increased damage that's on a chargeable meter, and strong style, which uses the two, allowing you to stack and use both simultaneously. The amount of firepower you have going in is off the charts, but the enemy can still thrash you expeditiously. Depending on which mode and revision, you'll fly through 5 to 6 challenging stages that will test your wits as well as your trigger finger in a bullet hell frenzy that is at times relentless. Dodging shots and trying to collect as many icons as possible will keep your score climbing. There's also a combo system here for every down craft that keeps going as long as you don't use a bomb or get shot down yourself. Keeping this combo going will net you massive bonuses at the end of each stage, but one hit is all it takes to take you down, and this game gets wild with the fire patterns. Depending on chosen power mode, bombs can double as an extra hit with gunfire and collisions, but once they're empty, it's a wrap. Luckily you spawn right back in where you left off and you've got unlimited continues, so give it all the firepower you've got and your mission should be successful. Each stage has a mid and end boss with hefty life bars, and they start out relatively simple at first, and once you get familiar with how to maximize damage output and which attacks optimize damage, you can steamroll a few of these mid bosses in a matter of moments. The Element Dolls, however, will work you pretty quick unless you can dodge and keep your damage on the up and up. Version 1.51 adds an additional end boss encounter that is absolutely ruthless, and mad respect to anybody that can 1cc this game, because it gets buck at several points throughout play. Another thing to keep in mind is that in certain modes the scoring and combo system work a little bit differently, with the original version 1.5 being the strictest. Combos will immediately end depending on certain parameters and length of time chaining it together, along with some enemies at times not registering to add to the combo. The later revisions seem to address this with a more streamlined and forgiving combo system, as well as specific enemy types that drop 100 plus hits to combos with each down. Catch is, depending on which mode you're running, once you finish the stage, getting shot down will affect your final round score, otherwise losing all possible bonus points. Long story short, keep those combos going and try to stay in the skies until the end of each level. Graphics wise, Dodonpachi Resurrection runs on the Cave VC 1000D hardware, and it cooks the whole way through. For as much as there is going on visually throughout each segment, it rarely seems to struggle except for just a couple of moments. The game also moves fast with a burst of colors and parallel scrolling as you travel through the stages, though don't get stuck in the scenery for too long since there are enemies everywhere ready to wipe you out. From the moment you pass through the time rift, the action wastes no time before seriously kicking off. The stage designs are all pretty sick here with a solid palette as you make your return from the past back into the future. The detail between each stage also has some nice touches, with some stages looking more populated and advanced to others looking more dreary and desolate. The layering between animations on the ground to the sky effects also look pretty good here, though the standouts here are the boss characters, especially the mid and end level bosses. The enemy designs are all centered around the mechanical realm, and you'll see some massive android titans essentially known as the Elemental Dolls. These 5 majors along with their mid bosses are as dangerous as they are visually striking. In comparison to your craft, you are quite tiny while these skyscraper mechs tower over you. Each boss also has some downright devastating fire patterns and animations that can flood the screen with bullets and projectiles in a matter of seconds. Their death animations are also a spectacular fireworks display with equally as massive explosions. Dodonpachi Resurrection also plays out and holds a pretty steady frame rate of 60 frames per second and only has a couple instances of slowdown. On the midpoint of stage 5, there's a section where laser barriers rotate around the playfield, and those along with the enemies and every other explosion explosion happening on screen does cause the frame rate to tank a little bit here, at least in version 1.5. Later revisions allow these lasers to be destroyed, which helped even out the frame rate, whereas in the original you can only dodge and repel the lasers here. Sound wise, this game is crushing it with a hype soundtrack and more bass by the pound than your local butcher, with the explosions and trunkfuls of gunfire. From the second you fly in, the game stays hype and rarely lets up, except for when your score is being tallied at the very end of each stage. Manabu Namiki and company absolutely smash it with a stellar soundtrack to carry through the game's high octane antics. There's also a fair bit of voice synth here, and even though I couldn't find any subtitle options, you'll be too busy trying not to become dimensional rubble. Even without context, the game stays dialed up and relentless until the very last shot is fired. Each elemental doll also has their own voice lines and personalities, so there's a fair bit going on audio-wise here, and it all pretty much slaps like a salmon swimming upstream. Overall, Dodonpachi Resurrection is an awesome shoot-'em-up addition to the Switch library, and for bullet hell fans, it's a pretty decent package considering how many revisions are contained within. Its breakneck pacing and nearly non-stop action definitely has a lot going for it, only with a couple of technical drawbacks. Of the Switch titles I've played so far for the system, especially the numerous shoot-'em-ups, this one is a lot of fun as well as extremely challenging. The Black Label and version 1.5 revisions add a fair bit of gameplay changes and also includes a novice mode on both if you prefer to ease your way into the game while still getting a solid challenge out of it. Dodonpachi Resurrection gets an 8.5 out of 10 and comes highly recommended to vertical shoot-'em-up fans as well as fans of bullet hell games with a lot of style. Cave shooters rarely disappoint, and this one is no different with more action than you can shake a hyper beam at. This is available on the Nintendo Switch, Xbox 360 as an import, as well as Steam for the PC. If you're into shoot-'em-ups, this is a great one to add to your collection. And I thank you again for checking out this video. If you can find these videos helpful, that's awesome. I'm glad you can use it as a resource. Check back often. We'll have more reviews and commentaries coming up in the near future. Until then, take it easy, stay safe out there, and I'll see you on the next one.